Let's do it live, Brad.
What are we doing live?
I'm just not going to look at the questions.
Well, you haven't looked at the questions, so
I'm going to continue to not look at the questions.
you prepared very well for not preparing at all. Not one bit of preparation for this Q&A podcast have you done.
People may not know this. We recorded 2 podcasts today, and
That's
one of
right.
them I was very prepared for.
This is actually, we're about to record our 4th podcast for the week.
Yeah.
Did you realize that?
I mean, for a show that's one podcast a week about a single topic, we maybe we've overstretched ourselves.
I think we've made some questionable choices, but I chose every single one of these questions. This is a 100% me filtered Q&A.
Well, that's only fair because on the patron episode this month, what I think of as the choose your own patron episode,
That's right.
I chose every single one of the topics.
All of the doors in the Choose Your Own Adventure episode for patrons said Will on them. So
do you think that's choose your own adventure? You think it's like the lady and the plate and the Samba problem?
Oh my God. But that was the worst one. Like when the book fair came around, I just grabbed that one and threw it right in the trash.
Yeah, the lady of the Samba problem. It's not a good. Hey, okay. I have a cold open question for you.
All right.
When you were a kid and the Scholastic Book Fair came to town, did you have to pay for the books, or did you get the books for free?
Oh no, we had to pay for them. We had like a little order form. I think they gave you like a slip that had all the books listed on it, and you like filled it out, if I remember.
See, we had. I could be wrong on this, but I think in Northeast Tennessee, and I think this might be due to the largesse of one Dolly Parton, who is the patron saint of Northeast Tennessee.
So I hear.
I believe that we just got 1 book per child. No matter what.
Okay. Could you get more if you wanted?
That part is unclear to me.
For money? I mean, 1 free book is a lot better than we had, which was 0 free books.
I mean, I think the point was make sure some kids have some books.
Yeah.
Because she's all about literacy.
Dolly Parton seems like a fine human being.
I've never had any interaction with her other than as a fan of her work and her generosity. And I have been to Dollywood once while she was apparently there, as evidenced by the traditional signal.
Do you think we could get her on the show?
I doubt it.
Think she would come tell us about her backup strategies? Like, what kind of NAS do you think she's running?
I bet she has a guy who does. I bet she has a person who does that for her.
Man, if I could replace my home server with a person.
Look, I'm working on it, man. I got to train my daughter to be the IT person. That's the plan. Then I don't have to do this anymore.
Sure, you want to inflict that on your daughter?
Probably not. Welcome to Brad and Will Made a Tech Pod. I'm Will.
I am Brad.
Brad.
I'm Brad. I'm Brad. Hi.
It's the first episode of the month, which means it is we're breaking rules here this month.
Convention is being smashed here.
Does this mean that May is a 5 week month? It's a long May.
What's a 30-day month?
May starts on a Sunday.
Right, but it's a 30-day month, so
it's a 31-day month.
Is it?
30 days have September, April, June, on November. All the rest have 31 except for February, which is fucked up.
Wait, did I get that backwards? I thought it was May.
May is 31.
Days in May.
I'm looking at a calendar right now. I can assure you, unless Windows 11 has added a day to the month of May.
Wow.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know that mnemonic as well as I thought.
30 days have September, April, June, and November.
Right, for some reason in my mind, it was April, May, and November.
No, June.
As I said.
June is a 30-day one. For a long time, my birthday is May 15th. For a long time, I thought that my birthday was the middle of the year because I'm bad at math and I was thinking decimals because, it's the 5th month.
Yes, the approaching summer Wilstis.
Yeah, and then I realized that when I was at an embarrassing age, I was like, oh, neither is I am not the middle of the year, nor is May 15th the middle. I'm off by a month and a half, basically.
Yes. So. May 15th, the longest beard of the year.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so we're breaking protocol. We are turning Q's into A's on this, the first podcast of the new month instead of the last podcast of the old month.
I've already forgotten what last week's podcast was. Oh, the Playdate and the spring cleaning double whammy.
It wasn't quite a potpourri. It was a duotone, maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, here we are in the first week with some questions.
I'm kind of obsessed with the Playdate.
Yeah. I don't know how much we can talk about the patron episode for people who don't patronize and aren't going to hear it.
There's a question that might be a promise that's an ambiguous level of promise.
Yes.
It's a non-binding question / concept.
We're entertaining an ongoing project that might involve a certain twee yellow handheld.
And us.
Yeah.
Building a thing.
And yes, learning some new skills.
Or multiple things. Who knows?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about that. Perhaps more on that later. For now, questions?
Emails.
Questions. Did you even look at the inbox?
We have an inbox?
You can't say emails if we're not actually even reading the emails anymore. I only pulled these questions from the Discord.
Hold on. I have the inbox open. I'm going to go ahead and tell you there are a lot of emails in the email box that are like, hey, yo, you should use Unraid.
Okay.
Noted.
Thank you. Yeah. What else you got? Any offers of lucrative ad deals?
Yeah. We should look at this mailbox more often, Brad.
Any how to increase your reach?
No.
We do say that email address out loud on the show still, right?
David Tull. Mm-hmm. The email address is techpod@content.town. David Tull writes, as of the submission of this question, the discourse around the new Steam Deck seems very positive. This seems weird to me based on what happened to the Steam Machine years ago. Am I wrong in thinking that the Steam Deck is going to end up like its forebear due to limitations on upgrading the Steam Deck's components? Or am I jaded on Valve gadgets as someone who bought a launch Alienware Alpha and a Steam controller? I still use the former, but not the latter.
I regret to tell you you're wrong.
What am I?
Not you, him. He asked, am I wrong about thinking that the Steam Deck is going to go the way of Steam machines, which it absolutely will not.
I mean, eventually it will become out of date and no longer able to run the games that are the current generations.
That's kind of a cop-out, isn't it? Because that's everything. Everything will age and die eventually, including the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I think that the Valve Index kind of and the HTC Vive and the work that they did in the VR space kind of washed the taint of the Steam machines off of them.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with Steam machines, right? They just didn't catch on.
Well, the problem with them was they ran Linux and there was no infrastructure for running games on Linux at that time.
Oh, right. You still had to do native ports back then, right? Like Proton was not really a thing.
I mean, WineX was there and Wine was there, but it didn't work very well.
But I mean, like Valve is a major, if not the major contributor to Proton. So like, obviously they had not done that work at that time.
Dave's sacrifices paved the way for Proton's growth and acceptance.
Right. I mean, dude, the fervor around the Steam Deck is such that I am very confident is going nowhere. Like people on my feed, like say Greg Miller, who don't give a shit about PC games, are out there going like, hey, does Rogue Legacy 2 run on the Steam Deck? Like everybody wants to play games on the Steam Deck.
Dude, I look at my Steam Deck page every day to see if I can pre-order.
Like that thing is going nowhere.
My fear right now is that I'll miss the email because of spam that says, hey, yo, you can order it now. You have 3 hours, but get to it.
Well, I wish you luck and good fortune. I'm over here cranking it, which is enough for me. All right. We need to read questions.
I just did one. We did an email.
Okay, we need to read more questions. Thank you for your contribution.
I'm participating.
Let's see. Should I start with a serious one or a dumb one? I mean, like fun, dumb, not like bad, dumb.
Silly. Stupid.
Man, Q&A MVP. Chair batter.
Oh.
This month. How far do you think you could throw a slice of bread Frisbee style? Do you think plain white bread is more aerodynamically sound than multigrain? I think multigrain takes it by a mile, right? Because it's denser and more cohesive. It's going to retain its shape in midair better.
Often
it's not going to flop around all over the place.
Often a heavy multigrain though is kind of dry in a way that I think the torsional stress on it might cause it to fly apart.
Okay, that's an angle I had not considered.
Yeah, I think a nice moist slice of white bread is going to hold its consistency because like it's basically nothing that's held together by crust.
Fair.
And I think you might even get some aerobie action in there. Like maybe the white part flies out and it's just crust, just a disc of crust flying. We could test this. I realize the site is, we're not at anything that involves testing anymore.
We have no venue for testing. I'm sorry.
I have a backyard, dude.
Okay.
I don't have any white bread though.
I guess that counts.
I also feel like your square Oro wheat kind of like Like I feel like you can get some wheat bread that is nutritionally as devoid of as white bread at this point too. That's probably your best bet. That's the best of both worlds.
You think so?
It's moist. It's going to withstand the rotational stress. I don't know, 20 feet? You think 20 feet?
I'd believe it. I might not put money on it, but I would believe it.
I bet I could get 20 feet.
As long as the crust makes it over the line.
Check my Twitter. I'm going to go check it out after we finish this podcast.
That's regulation. All right. Fishy J, I had their question up and then I just lost it. Hold on. What's the normal amount of Discord servers to be in? I like that they asked what is the normal amount, not a normal amount, as if there is one universally accepted answer.
How many Discord servers are you in, Brad?
I was going to count earlier, but I'm just going to, most of them are in folders, so it would actually be kind of a giant pain to count them all. I can tell you I'm only active in 3, and 2 of them are for jobs. Two of them are Nextlander and the Tech Pod, and then the other one is a one for friends. But I'm probably
are we only active in the same? Or am I active in all 3 of your Discords? I'm not active in the Nextlander one as much.
No, you're not. And I'm not active in Spite Pals, to be fair.
Okay. That's true.
I'm probably in like 24 if I had to guess, like eyeballing my folders here. How about you?
I had to remove some a few months ago because I was at the limit.
Wait, there's a limit?
It's like 200. It was 200, I think.
What in the world are you in 200 Discords for?
So I'm friends with a lot of streamers, and there was a while there where I was playing a lot of games with different streamers, and you always jump into somebody's Discord to do that, and it's very rarely your own.
Fair. Yes.
I back several Patreons.
Okay.
And those usually come with a Discord, whether I participate in it or not. I have some software tools that I use, like bot stuff that I need occasional support with. Those are like, all of these are muted, just to be clear. So I don't get any notifications or even like the little circle.
I mean, I was going to ask, there's no reason to leave a Discord, right? You just mute it and put it in a folder and forget it exists.
Well, when you reach when it's like, yo, you have too many Discords, you should leave some. That's a reason. Now that you can turn off the ability to DM people from random Discords, like for a long time, being in a shared server was enough that anybody could DM you. So then bot spammers would join a Discord and spam everybody on the list.
Oh, it's not still that way? Did they disable that?
Yeah. So if you right click on any server and go to privacy settings, you can check a box that says allow direct messages from server members off.
So it's opt in now.
It's you set the setting on your profile for new Discords. You have to turn it off for old Discords.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't know they had done that.
It's overall a good change.
Probably a good change.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest Discord you're on?
Oh man.
Or the most random?
That's incriminating probably.
Oh, come on. Live a little. You're an internet figure. You don't have privacy anymore.
I am on a Discord for a conference that I went to like 5 years ago.
Oh, huh.
With like 10 people, maybe
like a one-off. Oh yeah, sure. I'm on a few of those. Like, the thing we made to facilitate like an interview for a podcast or something.
Yeah, that was before I think there was a period of time when I was making Discords as a kind of throwaway without realizing that I could just turn people's access on and off really easily and use the same one for that kind of stuff.
Right.
I'm on the Discord for a virtual only art conference, art festival, online only.
All right.
I'm on a bunch of VR dev Discords from like early in the VR days when it's just a bunch of people bitching about how bad the documentation was. I don't know.
I'm on the FreeBSD Discord. They actually have one.
Wow.
Amazingly.
I'm on 3 different, I'm on a Discord for Live, which is a tool that you can use to see Twitch chat and like PC stuff inside VR, like mount it to the back of your controller so you can check chat and stuff like that when you're doing VR streaming.
Oh, wow. That's neat. That's super cool.
I'm on the Supergiant Games Discord. That's not random. That's an awesome one. I don't know. I'm on Valve Index Developers.
I'm on one that I guess is now called Enhance Everything. It used to be known as something like the Game Upscaling Discord. Because I got kind of interested in machine learning driven upscaling for a while and got on there and realized how incredibly technical everything was and how hard it was to get good results. And then I muted and yeah.
I'm on a Discord for a a text generation machine learning tool that you can like feed it a source sample and tell it what you want, and then it will generate like a novel length dissertation on the thing that you asked, the topic you asked. That was less useful than I was expecting. I'm not going to lie.
I could see that.
Yeah. I'm on the OBS community Discord. That one's pretty good.
Oh, I was on there. That might be a rare example of a Discord that I left, actually.
Wow.
It was a little chaotic.
Shots fired.
It was a little chaotic.
It was an instant mute.
There's a lot going on the OBS Discord, I can tell you.
It's a large user base and they are vocal.
They're very agitated by and large.
You don't go to the OBS Discord if shit is going well for you with OBS is the thing.
Definitely
like
not.
This is the problem with using a Discord only for support. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
I get. Also, I mean, I think I've told the story before, right? I went on there and went and asked my question in the Linux channel because it was much less active than the Windows channel.
Oh boy.
And then they did the standard, post your log.
Oh.
And I was like, maybe they won't notice. And I posted my log anyway.
They noticed?
And all I got back was, this is a Windows log. Go post your question in the Windows channel.
Get the fuck out.
I mean, in my defense,
think about trying to recreate your problem on Linux and submit that log?
I should have just done. Yes. Yeah. In my defense, my question was about like, hey, how is OBS passing these parameters to FFmpeg, which I know is what's running under the hood here? And I figured, like, that's a pretty esoteric question. I bet the Linux people know more about that.
You had to post your logs for that question?
It's just standard. It's like whenever you have any technical problem, I think that's just their standard response is like, show us your log and then we'll see if we can help you.
It's very personal.
Yes, it is.
I don't like showing anybody my logs. If I have a technical support problem that ends with me going to a website and saying, hey, post your logs, 99 times out of 100, I'm probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
I'll go try to figure it out on my own.
That's probably the safe approach. Sure.
Keep Googling.
Okay. All right. Speaking of Linux, question from MSC. What would happen if Rob Zacny ran Linux? I don't know, but I want to find out.
like if Rob Zacny was in charge of Linux?
No. I think
if Rob Zacny switched to Linux.
No. I think this is a switch to Linux question. I don't know, but I absolutely want to find out. Like I'm desperate to get involved in this scenario now.
Rob has the beard to be a kernel maintainer, as far as I'm concerned.
I think you're not wrong. I think yes. Like
he has the look of a man who is deep in the weeds on Linux.
Oh, sure, I can see it.
I think
he's like a system D contributor or something.
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like he got real into those like programming games that are like programming.
That's possible.
Like TIS 100 or one of those, right?
I haven't heard, but I have absorbed through osmosis some of his recent adventures in high level audio, home audio.
Those speakers are incredible,
and his proclivity for mechanical keyboards. So I think he's ready. I should.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know why. Why did I ask this on here? I have a direct line to Rob Zacny. I can just ask him.
If only there was some way to find out. Look, I feel like there's probably a Stream Deck in his future.
Actually, hang on.
Steam Deck, rather.
Stop the presses. I don't think Rob Zacny is a Linux user.
Why not?
I think he's a BSD user.
That's just mean.
I consider that a high compliment, to be clear. But then again, I'm the kind of person you're biting you looked lost. What is?
I'm just thinking. I'm thinking about like what his use case. I know Rob mostly from his work. We converse, but like
yeah, I don't know him super well. I do know that he loves to go down deep rabbit holes about technical things.
Like,
which
yeah,
so do I. I get it.
Yeah.
Though let me just to put my comment in a little more context. I was just last night reading an argument on a forum about ifconfig, the NetTools package being deprecated from a lot of modern Linux distros such as Ubuntu.
Oh yeah, of course.
And some BSD fans who were like, IF configuring a network adapter hasn't changed in 40 years, and neither has ifconfig. Like, why the fuck would they get rid of that? Like, why would they? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's the BSD crowd is like, hey, it's worked for 40 years. Just leave it alone.
I
kind of admire it.
Yeah. Like I can respect that. Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I should maybe hit up Rob and see what he thinks.
Yeah. We'll follow up next month and actually, no, we're probably never going to follow up again. Sorry in advance.
Let's see here. Question from Bodhisaurus. Boy, this is a cheery one.
Oh boy.
With the effects of climate change ramping up, I've been looking at getting solar panels, a built-in generator, and a large water tank with a rain collection ability all installed in my house.
Is this a secret Vinny letter?
What are you doing to stave off the encroaching societal disruption due to global climate change in action? Well, I rent, so nothing proactively yet, but I would be, I honestly, in all seriousness, I would be lying if every time I thought about moving to a given area, I didn't immediately consider, like, what is the natural disaster likelihood? It's both now and as things accelerate in this particular area.
Yeah, it's shaping our conversations about where we want to move.
Like it's a serious, actual consideration, right?
The real TLDR is that the famine will affect us all.
No, sure. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
This was fun. This is a great question.
I mean, as a homeowner, are you? Look. We did a whole episode about disaster preparedness.
Yeah,
I don't think what they're proposing here is like out of line necessarily.
No, I don't think it is either.
Solar panels and a generator are totally sensible. Like the rainwater collection is like maybe a little bit next level paranoid for me right now, but at the same time, like, joke's on me in 10 years, right?
Well, the rainwater collection is useful where we live because we get a lot of rain at one time of year and we get no rain for 9 months a year.
Yes.
And if you want to do things like water your garden, then a rainwater collection system is not a terrible idea because it lowers the impact of that. The other thing you can do is recapture gray water out of like your kitchen sink and use soap that's not going to kill your plant. Use soap instead of detergent so you won't kill the plants.
To keep it viable, you mean? Or
yeah. And you use that to water. There's things I don't know I haven't looked at the process, but I know that you can do like gray water collection and then use that to water your plants, your garden and stuff like that. Right. If you treat it lightly.
You're talking about the soap you used in the kitchen. I was conflating what you were talking about with the question I was going to ask, which is if you're collecting water at one time of year and then it's not going to rain again for another 9 months, how long is that supply going to last? And B, how long before it goes to stagnant to, okay, never mind.
I mean,
you're shrugging largely.
Here's the thing. You're going to have to cover it or else it'll all evaporate.
Right.
So, and then beyond that, I don't have any idea. I assume that you have to put something in it to keep it from getting gross.
That was my question. That's what where I thought the soap came in, was that I thought like it would stagnate too much. After.
No. I'm talking about like taking the runoff water that you use for like dishwashing and and stuff like that.
Yes.
Not the poop water, but all the other water.
Yes.
And the amount of water we waste in that context is pretty substantial. Like one of the things that I've seen people advocate is using the gray water runoff from like kitchens and stuff like that to flush toilets and things like that. Because we're already like, we don't need to, like the fact that we flush toilets with potable water is kind of
a bit wasteful.
It's
or, excessive.
Probably we're sending out the good with the bad.
Not exactly necessary.
Yeah,
I would say. Let's see. Question from Doomed Somehow. Have you ever been drinking too much and purchased a domain name for literally no reason and with no plans to use it for anything constructive? If so, what became of it?
Hey guys, I want to put up a Mastodon instance and I need a domain. What about content.town? Yeah, that's real funny. I'll do that one.
You guys, it's going to be so fun.
Yeah, we're going to Mastodon. Fuck Twitter. We're going to Mastodon the shit out of this. And that was like 4 years ago.
Yes. Wait, were you actually drinking?
Look, let's say I was drinking.
Okay. I've never. Wow, really?
Lightly impaired, I would say, is the mindset.
I'd say like you got to loosen things up a little bit, right? Like you've got to limber up the mind before you come up with something as groundbreaking as content.town.
Yeah, like once we discovered that you could get cheap domains. I remember after happy hours, there was a period of time in the whiskey basement when we would go looking for stupid domain names.
Yes, like buying stupid domains was like a very long time Jeff and Ryan joke thing that I don't know why I always thought it was amusing, but I never actually bought my own until the last 2-3 years.
Well, so it used to be kind of expensive. Like there was a period of time when I looked up willsmith.com on Network Solutions when that was the only place you could buy domain names. And it was like $70 a year or something. Like it was a lot of money.
That's harsh.
Yeah.
Like I've seen I have one domain that I paid kind of a lot up front for.
Yeah.
Like very low 3 figures, but once, not a year. Yeah. That's the one time like whoever controls this domain is
controls
gouging
the world. Yeah.
Right. Is gouging the prices. But once you pay that fee, then the renewal is like $20 a year. And it's not. And I also have a bunch of domains that I paid absolutely nothing for and continue to pay nothing for that are amazing. Should I say what they are?
I don't know. You got them locked down pretty good?
They're not doing anything.
Okay, let's have it.
None of them are. Hang on. I'm trying to pull up a list here. None of them are hooked up to anything. So it doesn't really matter. Also, I really like my registrar. They're pretty cool. EMM386.com.
That's real good.
Right? Like,
be better if it was .sys.
You think? I don't know. I mean, look, call me old fashioned, but there's something about a .com that is the top level domain of record.
Well, I'm just saying the file name was EMM386.sys, wasn't it?
God, right. I didn't even think about that. Oh, I should go get that too before this podcast.
I don't think there is a .sys, is there?
Is there not? Hang on. .sys, top level domain. I think you might be right. Are you checking as well?
I'm typing it in right now. So we don't currently offer .sys domains.
Oh man, there's a .systems, but that's not the same thing.
That's not it.
Well, hey, I'll just have to watch that like a hawk for if that ever gets rolled out.
Yeah, put your Google alerts on today.
That one, if and when I get to the point where I have like a personal website and a personal email address, that's going to be my domain. That's going to be the one.
That's a pretty amazing domain.
I'm pretty happy with it. I also got vidribbon.com.
VibRibbon?
VidRibbon.
Oh, wow.
VidRibbon was a rejected Nextlander name.
I kind of want electroplankton.com.
That might be tough to come by.
I feel like, it's a languishing title, but
either Nintendo has that or somebody else thought of that and went and got it. Actually, it's loading to a white page with nothing. Does that resolve to anything? Oh man, I'm doing a DNS lookup on the web. What is wrong with me? I've got this terminal right here.
Wow.
I'm such a bad nerd.
I could get electroplankton.org for $13.99.
Ooh, that is almost better. .orgs are cool.
I like a .org. I own noodleaficionado.com.
Wow, that's a long one.
Well, I like noodles. I thought it would be funny to make a site that's as serious as Cigar Aficionado, but about noodles.
Sure.
Like you got spaghetti, you got your linguine, you got your ramen, you got your pho. There's a bazillion different kinds of noodles.
Oh, yeah. And also like there are so many different what was the word I'm looking for? Ingredients, I guess. Like the ingredients that constitute the noodles are so multifarious these days.
You could do a whole feature spread on buckwheat.
It's like USB except food, where it's like there's a physical form factor and then there's the content of the noodle, and those two things are
there you go
orthogonal to each other.
Look, one day noodleaficionado.com will honestly, I bought that drinking at OrdCamp, I think, and when I was talking to somebody else, I was like, you know what should exist? Noodle Aficionado.
Fair.
And they were like, yes, this is a brilliant idea. And literally, I've not thought about it. And I've been paying for it for like 8 years at this point.
So we had some chickpea noodles last night.
Ooh, how were they?
They're pretty good. Grainy, I guess. Protein heavy.
I've never really met a noodle I don't like, I think.
Just about anything that can cohere into noodle form is probably worth eating as a noodle. You
know what can get wrecked, though? Zoodles. I don't like them.
Oh, really?
No.
I don't mind a zoodle.
They're fine. I was just trying to be inflammatory.
I wouldn't take a zoodle over a noodle, but
yeah, no, it's like a pale shadow of the delight that is a noodle.
If you're trying to be healthy. My favorite domain, I don't know if I've said this one before, mydragula.com.
You own mydragula.com?
I own mydragula.com.
God. Dude, can I confess something about mydragula?
Sure.
I didn't realize for years, like until maybe the Matrix 4 was announced, that the song from the club, baseline song,
it's the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I did not realize that was the Dragula song until maybe last year. That
is absolutely Dragula. I still haven't seen Matrix 4.
It's fine.
So I hear. I should get around to that.
It's a tough act to follow.
Of course, yes. I'm already drawing conclusions about it based on what you're saying right now, which is that like I must have talked about this on some podcast or other. Is it essentially the Terminator Genesis treatment for the Matrix?
Which one was Terminator Genesis?
It's the one where they go back to 1984, but like they witness the events of the original Terminator movie externally, like as third parties, and then interfere with them. Not that?
Nope.
Interesting. Okay.
It's better than that.
Okay, that's good.
Like I was not displeased by it, but I also haven't Like, do you remember when The Matrix came out on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, DVD, and you were like, I'm going to watch this. You watched it like 15 times.
Oh my, it was the premiere demo Blu-ray. Like once, here we go. Sorry, DVD. It was the premiere like DVD to demo your new DVD player. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is at home.
But also, like, I was watching it and like deconstructing scenes and seeing where they foreshadowed stuff and like just taking apart every single part of that movie because I wanted to understand why it worked so well. And no compunction to do that with the fourth one, but it was fine.
Okay, good to know.
It's not thought provoking. It's just it is an okay Matrix. It is better than the other two Matrix sequels.
Okay, that's perhaps not a hard achievement to attain, but
you know what? I stand by the statement that I have said for a long time, which is the second and third Matrix movies, were it cut into one movie, would be a fantastic film.
I think I could see that. Sure.
Like there are some really good action set pieces. There's a good story. There's just a bunch of nonsense filler and bullshit in those movies to make them 4 hours that made them hard to watch.
There's some incredibly memorable stuff in the second one. I remember basically nothing of the third one.
The third one all happens in the real world, and it turns out nobody really gives a shit about the real world.
Right. Yes. No wonder I don't remember it.
It does have the world's least thoughtfully designed mecha, where you put the soft meaty bits out front where the stabby murder machines can get to them easier.
It looks cool though.
They do look cool.
Question from Doc Paradox. Which would you rather have? This is a slightly wordy question, but I think you'll follow. Which would you rather have? As many vehicles as possible using something other than fossil fuels, such as hydrogen, electric, etc., or useful alternative transit methods, such as trains, buses, bike paths, and walking, etc.? Is this a why not both situation? Related, have you watched City Beautiful or Not Just Bikes on YouTube? Both of those channels have opened my eyes to how the suburban sprawl in America sucks. The question is just, would you rather have as way more cars out there not burning gas, or would you rather have way more public transit, essentially, and human powered transit?
I don't think that most of America is built in a way that way more vehicles not burning gas.
Those are kind of solutions for different geographical areas, right?
Yeah,
like you have to have cars in big parts of this country, at least. Unfortunately, it's less of a problem in countries with a lot less territory. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting though, because like I had a conversation with my mom who grew up in DC, in Washington DC, a long time ago, like 15 years ago now, and my grandmother when she was still alive, about what it was like in the 40s and 50s before the suburbs really, like the suburbs were a post-war invention in the U.S. for the most part, and it's fascinating because like you wouldn't have had an hour-long commute in 1950 because the cars weren't reliable enough to do that every day. The trains didn't exist. So you lived close, you chose, and with one person working in the household, you generally chose to live close to where your job was, or you looked for jobs close to where you lived. And yeah, like you should, I would advise anybody who has the option to talk to their parents or grandparents, if they're still around, about this and hear stories about what it was like before, in the before times.
Right. Going to town was like a once a week affair.
Well, if you lived in a rural place, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I would love to hear people's stories that they get from this. Like if you talk to your folks or your grandparents.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So we have an electric car. I am smitten with the electric car. We took it to Tahoe last month now. It's great. Highly recommended. It's not for everyone. If you drive 200 miles a day, it's probably not going to be fantastic for you, but it works really well for us. I'm super interested in electric bikes, especially like electric cargo bikes or e-bikes that are assistive with, like, you can get an e-bike now for a fairly reasonable price that has like a 40 or 50 mile range, so that you can carry 50 or 100 pounds of cargo on it. So you can go to the grocery store, load up the cargo rack and saddlebags, and like do your grocery shopping on the bicycle.
Man, that's kind of appealing.
Yeah. And as somebody who lived in a city that has bad public transit for a long time, because like San Francisco's buses, like if you're served by the train, you have a wildly different public transit experience than if you're served by the buses. And
yes,
Like, yeah.
Speaking as someone who used to live on the N line.
Yeah.
And now only lives on bus lines, you are extremely right.
Gina, my partner used to work at UCSF Med, one of the campuses, the one up on California at Masonic, which is like, I don't know, it's kind of like the northwest quadrant of the city. She lived 3 miles, I think, from our apartment by air. It was like a 4.5 mile drive because of the way the city grid works. And the bus ride was almost an hour and a half.
Yeah. Yes.
So she literally could start out and not jog, walk back from that office to our apartment if the weather was cooperative.
Faster.
And arrive 10, 15 minutes before the bus got there. Walking.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. It's
so
not,
like an e-bike sounds amazing in that context.
Sure. Yes. It's not perfect. My utopian pie in the sky, all things being equal answer to this is I'd love mass transit, like more like as troublesome as the bus can be, as you're describing, like a perfect implementation of more trains and buses and bikes and stuff. Like I love not driving.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you're in a rural area, this is just flat out not an option. But if you're in a dense urban area, like I love not having to have a car. I love walking to things.
Mm-hmm. I
love like just hopping on like a nice train and riding 20 minutes and getting somewhere, you know. I love like, but I also love libraries, you know, like I just kind of love the idea of like the urban common good. And I really wish that there were more communities built around that idea and funded appropriately. But
yeah,
you know.
I think bikes, I also think there's a safety thing with bikes. Because I think bikes are like riding a bike in San Francisco is terrifying.
Well, you tell me, but my impression is that that's really just due to the intermingling of bikes and cars. Like if there were no cars around, it would probably not be that big of a deal.
Look, if there were no cars around, the buses would be more reliable and faster. If there were no cars around, the bikes would be safer. The pedestrians would be safer.
Yeah, they'd be running a lot more train. They'd be building more train lines. Yes, you're right.
Look, yeah, adding more public transit without dealing with the car situation is kind of like trying to solve the gun violence in schools problem by making kids wear clear backpacks.
Yes, no, I mean, there's a reason I called it utopian.
Yeah.
But anyway, trains are cool. Bikes are cool. Walking is
trains.
Cool. There's nothing I love more than just walking to the grocery store and then walking to the library and then walking home.
Honestly, I really enjoyed even riding that stupid electric unicycle that I tested out when I was at Tested.
Electric unicycle.
It was like a self-balancing electric unicycle. So it's basically like a Segway, but only one wheel.
Interesting.
And it was very satisfying. It was fun. Was
it foolproof? Did you ever fall off?
Oh, you could totally eat shit on that thing like crazy. Are you kidding?
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Man. Okay. Here we go. Fishy J is the MVP this month with 2 questions read.
Wow.
Rectangle desk or L-shaped desk? If L-shaped desk, where would you place your screens?
Never in the corner.
Yes, I hate sitting in the bend of an L-shaped desk. I can't stand. That was the standard at like CNET and CBS in that building.
Future did the same thing.
I literally ripped the connector off of the joint there and threw it not in the trash, but I moved my monitor so I was sitting perpendicular with a desk surface because I cannot stand sitting in those nooks.
No, it's all you end up with a way like your neck is always jacked up and your arms are never at the right height. I'm a straight desk. I had an opportunity to get an L desk and I just went with a straight desk.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I only have room for one desk. I would love to have an L.
I have to minimize surface area or else I tend to pile.
Yeah, you do have that issue.
Yeah, in fact, actually, I'm looking around right now and like this weekend is a desk cleaning weekend for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm obsessively tidy about my desk, so I would love to.
Well, la-di-da.
I mean, it would be great to have like a TV in here for game capture type stuff, but I would not have one L-shaped desk though. Like that seems too unwieldy or cumbersome. I would just have 2 straight desks that you could arrange into an L of your choosing. That's what I would do.
My dream is to have a couch and a TV in here at some point.
Man, that's like full on office, like Mad Men style, having a couch in there. Why don't you get a little decanter while you're at it?
Well, look, I'm not asking for a booze cart. I'm just saying like it would be nice to be able to like I often have to do work that involves reading or like lean back work that I don't have to do in an office chair.
Yes, that makes sense.
I can change a venue.
I think a lot. So my desk, I'm not going to say how old my desk is, but it's very old.
I got rid of a 22-year-old desk. The other 24-year-old desk.
It's not nearly that old. I know I've said this on many podcasts. This desk came from Double Fine.
Really?
In the Psychonauts 1 era, they were still working on Psychonauts 1 when I obtained this desk from Double Fine.
Does it have is it Tim's desk?
I would guess that Tim rated a better desk than this, but I don't know.
I don't know. It's one of the things I like about like San Francisco / Bay Area companies is like you don't have a lot of executive desks.
Oh, actually,
in most companies.
Yeah. Also, at that time, their office was a parking garage. Like literal part, like they literally, if I remember, they were actually set up with a bunch of desks in a parking garage.
Like open to the elements?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember.
That's it. I never heard that. That's crazy.
It was long enough ago that the memory is getting a little fuzzy. But
okay.
Anyway,
possibly apocryphal Double Fine stories.
Point is, when I move, this desk is not coming with me. But I was going to say, like, I think a fair amount about what kind of desks I would get.
Yeah, and
I just keep coming back to I want to know if this is too cliched, like the straight up IKEA butcher block countertop with adjustable legs. Is there anything wrong with that?
Like you mean like a sit stand?
No, this would probably just be sitting only. I mean, you would need like motorized whatever to. I guess you could. Yeah, there are like aftermarket.
You can just buy the IKEA legs in the top separately. Put whatever top you want on them if you're going that route.
Right. I'm just maybe you're not familiar with these. Like they're all over Reddit. You know, if you look at like the Battle Station subreddit, like I don't know if that's too cliche or not, but it's just it's simple and clean looking.
So I just replaced my desk. And full disclosure, I do as my stream stuff. I have a relationship with Steelcase, makers of fine chairs and desks, and they were like, "Hey, do you want a standing desk?" And I said, "Yes, I would like a standing desk." Honestly, because I was looking for standing, like I happened to be looking for new desks at the time, and I wanted something that was sit stand because I between like day job and podcast and streaming and all the playing video games when I want to play video games, I'm sometimes in here for an obscene number of hours every day.
Sure.
And I wanted to be able to stand some. Yeah. And it is, if you spend in a world where we're working from home and like there's no time to go sit in the car and drive someplace else or walk on our commute or something like that, it is awesome to stand up. I've been standing up for the last 2 podcasts we recorded, and it's been very good for me.
I can see that. The Rich Gallop.
But I also like to sit too is the thing.
Fair.
Like I don't want to stand the whole time.
He only stood.
Yeah, that's. I mean, look, Rich is a skinnier man than me, so.
Okay, a couple more questions here.
Let's turn them into A's.
Question from Seabird Song. This is a weird one. I have a USB-C LG monitor, and when I use it with my MacBook Pro, a device called LG Monitor Controls appears in the Network Preferences pane.
Okay.
Once selected, it presents the options you'd expect to see for a dial-up modem. Do you have any idea why this would be the case? Additionally, is there a way I can make a phone call into my monitor and, I don't know, adjust the brightness or something?
It's probably a serial connection across that DisplayPort, the USB-C bus, right?
I was baffled by this. I would accept that as an answer. Sure, that sounds plausible.
I don't have any idea. Had I done my homework and read this in advance, I probably could have looked it up and found out.
Is that the protocol you think? DisplayPort is probably what's going over USB-C these days? Well, I don't know, actually. I don't know what the display standard is.
Because on a Mac, if it's USB-C, it could be Thunderbolt.
Is Thunderbolt a display standard though?
Thunderbolt can be a display standard, but I think at that point it's just a container for DisplayPort.
Right.
Like it's like a pipe. It's hardware layer for the software spec. Some of that stuff's weird because sometimes like I have a LG monitor that has a Thunderbolt port that you get different resolution options when you plug it in on Thunderbolt than you do if you plug it in with DisplayPort.
Interesting.
Because the bit rate that's available on the Thunderbolt was lower than what the DisplayPort could handle on the Thunderbolt 1.
How old is Thunderbolt? At least probably 15 years at this point, right?
10 or 12.
Like probably? I think the MacBook Pro I bought in 2008 had it. That was quite a while ago.
No, it would have been the first aluminum unibody MacBook.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Oh, that was 2008 because I was still at Maximum PC.
Yes, that was the year I started at Whiskey and I bought that MacBook.
I don't
even. They offered to buy me a laptop, and I was like, "No, I'll buy one myself."
But at that point,
I'm not sure why I did that.
At that point, the Thunderbolt was over DisplayPort. Thunderbolt over USB-C would have been DisplayPort.
I'm sorry,
or Thunderbolt 2 or 3.
I didn't think to specify. I meant the physical Thunderbolt connector, not the
USB-C,
the standard, the digital protocol over USB-C. Yeah. The reason I bring it up is I just found out last night, quite literally, reading about it, that Thunderbolt is essentially just PCI Express over a connector.
Oh yeah,
over
it's
a
like
cable.
it's like
I didn't know it was
PCI
literally
Express.
right. I didn't know it was quite literally just PCI Express over a cable. That's wild.
There's usually a bridge on the chipset, so there's some extra latency or something. But yeah.
I found that out in the course of reading about M.2, which is PCI Express over a socket, basically.
Well, for a while it was just SATA though too,
or it can be both, right?
Yeah,
or USB actually. Like it'll also interface.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it can be SATA, PCIe, and USB.
Well, so the weird thing about M2 is just a physical form factor,
right?
It's like a PCI Express card.
Yeah.
The weird thing about all the Thunderbolt stuff is it seemed like it was a good idea to have direct access to the PCI Express lanes. And then, and I think my assumption is that when that stuff was all coming up, we assumed that we would have access to lots more PCI Express lanes in the future. And then Intel decided they were just going to gate the number. They were going to use PCI Express lanes as a way to differentiate server and desktop processors. And so we've had the same number of PCI Express lanes available to us, unless you buy really ridiculously overpriced CPUs for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, which is probably the thing that's going to drive me to AMD for my next machine. Anyway,
I would that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, lightning round, a couple more real quick.
Okay.
Simply Bagel, would you buy a refurbished hard drive? No, absolutely not. No way.
I literally, like, if I have a hard drive that is around for more than 3 years, I start to get antsy and feel like I need to replace it because it's going to die.
Yes, new hard drives are too mechanically unreliable.
Yep, that's a big note for me, dog.
Never risk it on a used one. Gauge 006. You can have an unlimited gift card to one eatery in your city, but you can never eat anywhere else for the rest of your life. Where are you going?
Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
They have the biggest menu I've ever seen.
You're right. Actually, now that you mention it, the variety there actually, like, wow, I really screwed up. In my mind, I was going to say Taqueria Cancun.
Oh, look, that's a good choice too.
Yeah, but then you're only eating burritos for the entire rest of your life, which
they have tacos too.
I know.
They have tostadas.
You're right.
You could probably, look, if you're in there every day, 3 times a day, you can probably get a quesadilla, even if you ask nicely.
Can't go from like steak to macaroni and cheese to like lava cake to,
yeah, I mean, I think maybe Max's Opera Cafe, but I think I'd probably die in like 4 years if I ate Max's Opera Cafe every day.
Sure. Man, Cheesecake Factory. Not the worst answer.
My initial thought was House of Prime Rib, but then I was like, man, they only have 3 things on the menu, and also they're only open for dinner.
They're 3 pretty good things, though.
They're the same 3 things.
They're very good, though.
They are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of anything better than Cheesecake Factory, though.
I'll accept it.
Okay.
Last email. This is not an email. It's from Discord. From Visualizer.
Techbot@content.town.
What's it like to have a Discord full of nerds talking and making memes about you? I'm trying to imagine if I had a fish tank or ant colony, but every time I peered into it, they were building little statues of me. I don't know how I'd feel about that.
Oh no, it's like that episode of Futurama.
I was going to ask, so this is also, that same concept is also a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror vignette?
Yes. Yeah, with Lisa and the tooth, right?
Yes. Is that spoofing something? That has to be spoofing some like 50s horror thing.
Is it a Twilight Zone or something maybe?
That would be my first
Outer
guess.
Limits?
Maybe an Outer Limits or something along those lines. I've always wondered.
What's the Bender episode? Bender.
The petri dish full of tiny beings worshiping you as a god thing.
I'm going to look.
I'm not up on Futurama. I didn't know they had done something similar.
You hadn't seen it on Futurama?
I've seen some Futurama, but not that episode.
Oh God, Futurama's great. So that's the one. It's called Godfellas. Bender gets.
That's a good name.
Here's the best joke in this episode. Maybe not. Bender, the Planet Express ship is going at the speed of light, and Bender gets shot forward out of it. Therefore, he's going faster than his relative speed is at the speed of light, but he's going at a different frame. He's in a different frame than the Planet Express ship, so they have no chance of ever catching him.
Got it.
And a civilization evolves on his ass over thousands of years.
Time dilation, is that what we're...
Look,
something
I don't know. Eventually, God becomes involved.
Yeah.
Okay, Godfellas reference.
I could probably also look up that Simpsons thing.
Yeah, that's like Treehouse of Horror 6 or something.
Maybe like 9, 10, something like that.
It's an asteroid collides with him as he's flying through space, and then the small civilization appears on his shiny metal ass.
Got it.
That's a reference to panspermia, the idea that life can spread across vast distances of space by hitching a ride on space debris.
We're not talking. This is a podcast. We have to keep talking.
It's no. It's okay. So man, the Futurama fandom wiki has a trivia / references page that's really good, and it says Bender's godlike influence upon the diminutive shrimpkins, the species on his shiny metal ass, is expanded to include more serious implications in Microcosmic God by Theodore Sturgeon and the Twilight Zone episode, The Little People. The tiny creatures in Alan Dean Foster's short story Gift of a Useless Man depend on the main character in a way that is similar to the Shrimpkins building the civilization on Bender, and the god entity appears almost identical to the god entity portrayed in Stanislaw Lem's Voyages of Professor Tarantoga screenplay. I'm going to go to the Little People summary and see what it is. It's episode 93 of the CBS television anthology series The Twilight Zone, according to Wikipedia.
Okay.
And it's about an astronaut and his captain and his malcontent co-pilot who land on an alien planet to repair their ship. And they scout out the thing and they find little people that are no bigger than ants.
I can confirm the Simpsons thing I was talking about. It's called the Genesis Tub from Treehouse of Horror 7. Also a reference or a parody of the Twilight Zone episode, The Little People.
There you go. Clearly something that landed for Matt Groening at some point in the past, or
one for sure. Wait, he just ripped off his own parody.
Look, man, if you can't parody yourself, who can you parody?
Okay, that's fair. All right. That probably doesn't answer that question at all, but that's what we got.
I believe that Claude Atkins played the can-do space captain, and Peter Craig, Joe Maros played the malcontent co-pilot who convinced the little people to make a statue in his of him.
Man, I got so excited that all of the Twilight Zone is on Paramount Plus.
Ooh.
Have we talked about this?
No.
Most of the run of the series, in my experience, at about the halfway point of each episode, the audio goes wildly out of sync by like 10 seconds. It's specifically when it cuts to what would have been a commercial.
Oh, that
and comes back. And then the audio is like unwatchable. And it's been that way for months. And I've really wanted to watch some Twilight Zone and I can't. And they haven't fixed it.
Is there a problem with this thing? Because
yes, I don't know about it in the app. I haven't checked to see, but like it's all over like Reddit. It's not. I've confirmed it is a widespread problem. It is like
on some of the, I want to say AMC or one of the, it's not Criterion because they actually pay attention to shit, but one of the services that Bravo or somebody had hey, is there a problem with this? You can hit a question mark and it will help you fix it. Like it doesn't help you fix it, but it reports it to them. So then they fix it.
I should check for that. Check for that because, Paramount, large company. I'm like, how is this possible in this major commercial service you have launched, former employer?
If only you knew someone there.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that was a good question for which we did not have a satisfactory answer.
What was the question again?
What is it like having a Discord full of people making memes about you?
Oh, it's weird. I don't ever go into darkness because I find it scary and threatening.
It's weird. Yes,
but not in a bad way. I just don't I don't want to be faced with my own nonsense.
Yeah. If you don't enjoy being the center of attention, don't go into this line of work. Let me tell you from experience.
The problem I think both of us have is that we have well-developed senses of shame.
Yes.
And like, it's really just to be clear, I don't know if I should say this out loud, but like somebody asked me the other day if I had any regrets about the way I've run my career over the last 20 years. I was like, if I'm being honest, it would have been a lot easier if I decided instead of trying to make smart content for people who are smart and interesting, if I just made stuff that was, least common denominator for chuds, my life would have been a lot easier and I'd have made a lot more money.
You'd probably be retired.
But on the other hand, I have a very fulfilling life and I reach a lot of people whose influence comes back to me and fulfills me in a way that is the chuds could not. So thank you for not being chuds, TechPod listeners.
Yeah, it's a victory of the soul, if not of the wallet.
Yeah.
That's it for questions, I think.
That's the whole thing?
Yeah. I mean, there are more. I could ask more.
You might have to ask more. Ask me one more. Ask one more because I have I have to open up the thing about the people, what we think.
It's also from Gauge 006. If you're not supposed to put cotton swabs in your ears, how do you clean your ears?
Hydrogen peroxide.
Wait, like just pour it in there?
Yeah.
Really?
plop, plop, fizz, fizz.
Is that safe?
I don't know. I've been doing it for 46 years. What?
No comment.
Go to the doctor. Get them to clean it. Is probably the actual answer. But hydrogen peroxide's fine.
I didn't know you weren't supposed to put cotton swabs in.
What, really?
Yeah.
The ad had the guy with the shoulder problem who could jam his elbow. He's still, don't put anything in your ears smaller than your elbow.
Even gently and like not too far in.
Look, man, how do you know what's too far in until it's too late?
Like you don't want to like come up against your eardrum or anything, but.
Well, the real problem is that the skin on the inside of your ear canal is real thin, and it's easy to tear it and go straight to bone.
Yes. Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
No, I don't do it often.
Yeah. Jesus, man. This is the part of the show, Brad, where we tell people how to reach out to us and send us more questions, which we will turn into answers. The email address, which we check with religiously, is techpod@content.town. Or if you're in the Patreon Discord, the Discord for patrons, you can go to the Question Seeking Answers channel and post your question there. It will go into the void, and we will read it at some point in the future and may or may not turn it into an A.
Yes. Warbird, don't wait for the M2 MacBook Pro. It's not coming anytime soon. Just buy a laptop.
Also,
when I am telling you don't wait, just go ahead and buy. You know it's safe to buy.
Also, I don't care about Lane Kiffin at all. I'm just going to put that out there.
There is so much college football garbage in here.
No feelings whatsoever. Brad, this is the part of the show where we thank our patrons.
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you.
As always, if you would like to join the support of the 100% listener supported podcast, Brad and Will Made a Tech Pod, you can do so by going to patreon.com/techpod. Again, that's patreon.com/techpod, where for as little as $2 a month, you can gain access to the fabulous TechPod Discord, which is filled with beautiful nerds, just like Warbird and I can't remember another name right now. I'm blanking.
Fishy J,
thank you. Cake batter. I knew there was a C one in there.
Heroes of the Q&A.
But a very special thank you to our executive producer tier patrons, including Paddle Creek Games, makers of Fractured Veil, Andrew Slosky, Bunny Thorpe, Tech Pod Crimes. This is getting out of control. Meta Name Change Wedge, Jacob Chappell. It's spreading, Brad.
Oh, this is great.
Jacob Chappell, Joel Krauska, A Murder of Twinkies, David Allen, and James Kamek. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate your support.
Yes, we do.
Thinking about maybe adding a new benefit to the TechPod patron tiers.
Oh,
yes. I signed up for a Mastodon server the other day when certain news events happened.
And the turn in public opinion about that thing, like I feel like every third person now is predicting it's going to fall through, and I don't know.
The sale or the Mastodon?
No, the sale. I don't know. We'll see.
I think I'm taking a wait and see approach. I don't care one way or the other. I'm unfortunately, due to a series of circumstances kind of outside of my control at this point, I am probably pretty committed to Twitter for the foreseeable future, whether I like to be there or not.
What if you just stopped?
Well, I have obligations relating to my job that require time spent on Twitter.
That's fair.
So yeah, but if you would like to participate in a Twitter-like experience that is not federated and not tied to billionaires, you can do you potentially can do that. But by the time you hear this episode, we got to just flip the switch on and start giving people invites. So there you go. Mastodon.
Exciting. Yeah.
It's like Twitter, but I don't know. We control it. We run the servers.
Wait,
but not really us. Like we're paying somebody to run the server so that it gets backed up and updated and all that stuff.
So we're Jack now?
No.
Okay.
No, hold on.
I would rather be Jack than Elon Musk if that's the question.
No, the question is, are you Jack, are you Ev, or are you Biz Stone?
Oh, okay. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not up on my Twitter founder lore enough to answer that one. I'm afraid to say.
I don't think you want to be. Well, maybe you're the Ev.
Okay. Sure. I'll take it, I guess.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Tech Pod. And you should go listen to this week's episode of the Foss Pod, which is very good and is about open source software that you should be using. You can find out about that at fosspod.content.town. See y'all next week. Bye.